My name is Crystal Barnett. I grew up in North St. Louis, which is the worst neighborhood in our city. And our city is in a crisis. So right now we have something called the St. Louis Divide. One half of our city is being educated well, the opportunities exist and there are resources. And the other half, our children are failing. We are the #1 murder city right now. So the question I had to ask myself and all the parents, teachers, and faculty is what happens if we take guns out of the hands of our young people and put education into place? The resources to bring the education back to where it needs to be. And knowing that DSEG is ending and we can no longer send our children out to suburban white schools, which those systems are also failing our kids as well, how can we bring excellent education down to St. Louis? So it is my job to be a bridge of hope. The parents in our city, they are sad, they are broken, our kids are lost, and they have no direction. So what can we do? It is my vision that every child has access to excellent academically accountable schools. What does that look like? That means no matter what school you choose, because we have 4 dynamics: charter, private, public, and homeschooling is huge in St. Louis right now. So no matter where your child is, are they being educated excellently, and is their education equal across the board? And then you have the access to get there if you need to. My values. Let's talk about them. It's very important to me to be transparent. I consider myself a very literal person, but it's also important for me to be out here in the public with your parents, in the schools, in the communities, in the streets, and you know exactly what it is I stand for. No questions, no secrets. And how are we gonna do it? We have to build partnerships. There are people already out here involved in bringing better education. So what do we have to do? We have to get involved as parents. We have to step up. We have to put a demand on what we want for our children. And then if we don't know, we have to go find out. Step out and find where those resources are and get those answers. What else do we have to do? We have to be accountable. But who does accountability start with? Well, of course it starts with me. Because it's my motto that I want to be the change. I represent the change that I want to see. So to be the change you want to see, you have to start with accountability. What's happening in my household? What are the priorities for my family? And then how can we work with the system that was already designed for us to fail and changing around that system is now accountable to the children and the things that's happening both socially and emotionally for the children, black and brown children. And then guess what I'm going to be? Dedicated. Because dedication is what it takes to get anything done. It was dedication that got me through the TLC. It was dedication that got me to the Memphis Lip. It was dedication that kept me canvassing, even when my feet were swelling and my sleep got me acting up. It was dedication that kept me doing the research, because I don't like research, let's be honest. But it's necessary, because knowing what you're talking about and knowing what you don't know keeps you accountable. So what is 2? There's 33 elementary schools in St. Louis. There's 2 that are proficient in math right now. So let's be honest, the #1 thing that black and brown children fail in is science and math. But where are your high-paying jobs and your corporate America type of situations exist is in the level of education that we're not even prepared to handle. So out of 33, 2 are doing their job.
Wow.
That's ridiculous. In fact, I'm outraged. The cold way, not the hot way. What do we have to do? This is an example of a house meeting that I had in St. Louis. This is what I call being engaged in power. These are the parents that were ready to act. It's not enough to sit in your seat and say, oh my God, kids are failing and I didn't know and it's not happening to my kid. And, oh well. No, it's not oh well. Because let me tell you what happens when you don't care.
Right.
So our uneducated, unresourced children are now coming out to your well-resourced areas to demand and steal the things that we want to provide to them. They should already have.
That's true.
So those people who are well-resourced need to get on board with me.
Yeah.
So we can all make sure that they don't come out there and take the stuff that don't belong to them.
That's true.
What are we gonna do? We're gonna demand it. So we no longer asking questions. We no longer saying, well, maybe you can do this. It's not a maybe, it's a right now. If your school's not working for us, we need to change it right now. If you don't have the resources you need, we need to bring them in right now. If you don't know what to do, because you're a person that don't live in our demographic and you don't understand our social construct, ask, because we need the answers right now. So we're gonna advocate. If you don't know how to advocate, I'm gonna go with you. You need me to pray with you first, I'm gonna do that. You need me to step in that school and sit in the meeting with you, we're gonna show up. Because advocation is important. When they know you care, they start to care.
That's right.
We're gonna bring the support. Not only support for our families and our children, but the support to the schools, and the support to the administration, and the support to the people that make the decisions. Why? Because we have something to say and we want you to hear it. Not only that, we want you to change this dynamic so we can get results. And then, of course, we're going to fight the cold way. Because we're no longer going to stand by and watch policies and procedures and laws be put in place to oppress a certain level of people. And that's what's happening right now. School systems in themselves are designed for our children to fail, and that starts with lawmaking and the lawmakers. Our powerful parents. Tammy Jones, all three of her children are not in school right now. They were allowed to unenroll themselves out of Hazelwood High School without parent consent. They didn't even bring the documents that were required. This is the lack of accountability and what happens to our kids on a massive level. Charlie Williams Moore is in one of our so-called good schools, but they have no idea how to deal with our young black children. Any issues or avenues or things that we face, they don't have anything in place to take care of those social needs so that we thrive in those classrooms and learn what we need to learn. These are some representatives of the parents who are ready to be cold angry with me. Why am I here? This is a picture of my family. Lauren and Malachi are my children. Those two other boys are people that I have invested in their lives since they were 4 years old. Those are my little cousins.
All right.
Whose parents are on drugs, whose parents don't exist, and who we had to step up for and be accountable to make sure that they get the education process properly that they need. So I'm in this work because I represent the kids that I want to help. I was in the DCA program. I was shipped out to what they call the top school, but I watched them put our black boys in the remedial classes and fail some of our African American women because they couldn't keep up with the curriculum. If not for my own family support and Jesus, I might not myself would have made it through that situation. So we can no longer allow and leave this up to other people to do what we are accountable to do for ourselves. My first year goes. I'm going to get 200 powerful parents to help me demand these changes. I'm going to build 10 strong partnerships because St. Louis is a conglomerate of nonprofits. There's a lot of people willing to invest money. I actually work for a place that's willing to invest, and that would be Wells Fargo. So what we have to do is be serious about what we want to happen, and then bring in our plan for how we're going to bring that change. Of course, I need a strong presence on social media because we're in the social media era, and everybody's on social media. I'm going to be mobilizing every two months, to make sure that everybody is staying constant, up to date, and knows what's happening in St. Louis, and we're building that hope that's missing in our community. And I want to change and go after two policies. Because the laws in Missouri are of the Jim Crow era, and our city is very much segregated. It's very much racist, and it's not under the rug anymore. So since it's not under the rug, let's address it. Let's make sure that the next set of kids that go through these schools are a success. Let's make sure we're building up those schools in our communities that are failing. Let's make sure we bring in the resources that they need so we don't have any more excuses. And then let's see what that new dynamic and that new progression looks like. So, you can hand them out now. In front of you is a puzzle with missing pieces. It is a representation of what I feel is happening in our schools. They're presenting us with things that they say are supposed to be full on and well for our children. And without the connections and the full picture, how can we be a success? So I'm asking you, mine says to be an invested parent. Pay attention to the word that's on your missing piece, because this change involves all of you. It is important that we all step up and be accountable in whatever way that be. If we're the person with the resources, let's bring them in. If we're the teachers in the classrooms, let's be more passionate about teaching our children what they need to know. If we're the schools and administrations, let's make sure we're addressing all of our issues and not leaving kids left out, like the blind leading the blind. If we're parents and we have issues and we don't know how to address them, let's have someone out here who can teach, show, be a support to, do whatever you need to be so that you can be an invested parent. Being invested is important. It separates a failing child from a child that's succeeding. It's the family and community involvement. So I'm asking all of you, will you join me?
Yes.
Connecting your broken pieces. Thank you.